co-host and Us Weekly's official royal correspondent, Michaela Friel. Michaela, welcome to Royally Us. I'm so excited to have you back because you were a guest a couple years back, but it's so nice to officially have you in this role. We are so excited to have you on board. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Christina. I'm so happy to be here. I've been a fan of the show for years now, and I was a guest a couple of years ago. So it's so great to be back in this capacity as a co-host and just chatting everything royals. And I'm so excited to get started.
I'm so excited. And you have a wealth of knowledge. You've been covering the royals for years, right?
Yes, I've been covering the royals, I want to say, for about 6 years now, and I've interviewed royals from all over the world. So any questions, anything royal related from our readers, I'd love to hear from you. I'm just really excited to get started and see where this takes me.
Definitely. Well, I know that you have a wealth of knowledge, and I cannot wait to get your expertise on all of these topics that we're going to cover. So let's dive right into it and start with some big, happy breaking news because Princess Beatrice has welcomed her second baby with her husband, Eduardo. The palace released a statement saying Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrice and Eduardo are delighted to announce the safe arrival of their daughter, Athena Elizabeth Rose Mapelli Mosey, born on Wednesday, January 22nd. At 12:57 p.m. at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital in London. The baby was born weighing 4 pounds and 5 ounces. Their Majesties the King and Queen and other members of the royal family have all been informed and are delighted with the news. The baby joins the couple's other children, Sienna and Wolfie. This is so exciting. We love a royal baby story. So glad that mom and baby are doing well. So this is a very welcoming story.
Yes, it is so exciting. And the baby's middle name, Elizabeth, is obviously a tribute to Beatrice's grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. And her first daughter, Sienna, also had that middle name. So it's just really sweet to see that she's continuing that family tradition.
Yeah, I love that they released a photo as well, and little babies warm everybody's hearts. So glad that they're doing well. So very exciting. So, all right, moving on to Prince William and Princess Kate. They stepped out for Holocaust Memorial Day in the UK and had an emotional reunion. So Kate hugged Holocaust survivors Yvonne Bernstein and Stephen Frank while at the Guildhall in London on January 27th. She and William attended the event to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau. Kate previously photographed both Bernstein and Frank at Kensington Palace in January of 2020. The couple snapped photos with the survivors, some of whom told their stories at the event before William stood up to speak, and he actually read an excerpt from the book Holocaust Heroes before concluding his speech. So this was definitely a lovely reunion. What kind of stood out to you the most about this event?
I love this event because, we've heard from various sources and royal experts that Kate is really taking her time with returning to work. So it seems like she's only taking on events that are really important to her. And of course, this is so historically significant. So what better way to get back into it? One thing that really stood out to me was Kate's jewellery. She was really intentional with it. She wore a necklace that was owned by a Jewish brand. So it was clear that a lot of thought went into that decision. And she also wore earrings that belonged to Queen Elizabeth II too. So she really puts in a lot of effort and a lot of thought with these kind of occasions. And hopefully we'll be seeing more things like this in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, she's going to be kind of selective about what she decides to attend, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later on. But before we do, we're going to talk about King Charles because he appeared emotional as he joined world leaders in Poland to commemorate 80 years since the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau. In what was the first visit by a British monarch to the site of the former Nazi concentration camp, the king joined other heads of state, placing a light in front of an empty train car in memory of the millions who lost their lives during the Holocaust. The king spoke of a world that remains full of turmoil and strife and the dangerous reemergence of anti-Semitism. He added that the act of remembering the evils of the past remains a vital task, and in doing so, we inform our present and shape our future. What do you think this means for him to be the first royal to visit this site?
Well, this is a major milestone, and we know that King Charles, like Kate, everything he does is so intentional and with so much heart. And we know that he's still doing cancer treatment at the moment, but we also know that he's back to a full schedule. So the fact that, let's be honest, like he doesn't have as much time as, say, Queen Elizabeth, who reigned for more than 70 years. So to be able to have such a historic milestone like this must mean so much to him. And it's so great to see that he's able to do that.
Yeah, and he just does not slow down. There is nothing stopping King Charles. It really is. It's amazing to see. And there's also nothing stopping Princess Anne. As we know, she had a pretty bad accident, a pretty bad fall that left her hospitalized last summer. And she actually spoke out about it to the Press Association, saying, "I know where I thought I was going, and that was going to the chickens. No, nothing to do with horses." She spent 5 nights at the hospital after sustaining minor injuries and a concussion following an incident at her Park Estate in Buckingham Palace. This was back in June of 2024. She said at the time, Anne's medical team said her injuries could have been caused by the impact of a horse's leg or head. But according to the royal, she actually can't remember being with her horses prior to the hospitalization. She said, "It had been my regular visit. I don't have any idea what I was doing in the field because I never normally went that way. It just shows you, you never quite know, something happens and you might not recover." This is really scary. She said that this accident and hospitalization reminded her to take each day as it comes, but to not remember this accident and this fall. She was hospitalized for a while. She didn't do any royal events for quite some time, but obviously she's back and talking about it now, but definitely a scary situation.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. But it's so interesting to see her be so candid about something like this because it is so scary and it is so personal. But we've seen her time and time again for years now. She's been named the hardest working royal. She's always doing the most engagements out of everyone in the family. And it seems like something like this hasn't stopped her and that she isn't slowing down. So it's quite inspiring and it's really nice to see actually.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that she is the hardest working royal and she has no plans to retire. She said in that same interview, "I don't think there's a retirement program on this particular life. It really isn't written in. No, it isn't really an option, so I don't think so." She completed 217 engagements in 2024. The most of any royal that year, despite her hospitalization and her injury. King Charles completed 186 engagements while undergoing cancer treatment. While most senior royals choose not to retire, is not entirely unheard of, as Prince Philip did retire in 2017 at the age of 96. So what are your thoughts on royals retiring? Do you think it's the right thing to do, or is it kind of up to their discretion? What are your thoughts on that?
I personally don't think that it's a bad thing at all. And I don't think the British public would have any kind of judgment if in a couple of years' time Anne turns around and says, "Look, I've done my time. Now let me live in peace." She's done so much. But also I think that maybe people that aren't as familiar with the royal family might not be aware of just how much she does. Because while she is very celebrated, she isn't in the headlines as much as, say, William and Kate or even Harry and Meghan. So it's just one of those things. We hear about royals across the world in Europe that abdicate, step down, retire, whatever you want to call it. So I believe it's just personal preference. But Anne, as long as she's happy and she wants to keep going, then let's let her enjoy this time.
All right, well,
Hey squad, welcome back to another episode of Royal Sussex Squad, your go-to place for setting the record straight on the royals and exposing the nonsense pushed by the media. If you're here, you already know what time it is. We're lifting up Harry and Meghan, calling out the hypocrisy and bringing the facts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that super thanks button if you love the content. Now let's dive into today's hot topics. So, let's talk about the media circus surrounding the royal family right now. First up, we have the news that Princess Beatrice has welcomed her second child. Congratulations to her. But what's interesting is how the press fawns over this royal baby while conveniently ignoring the beautiful family Harry and Meghan have built with Archie and Lilibet. Notice how when it comes to the Sussexes, there's always some underhanded criticism. The double standard is real. Now on to William and Kate's latest public appearance for Holocaust Memorial Day. Of course, it's important to acknowledge history, but let's be real. This was a carefully orchestrated PR stunt. With Kate's mysterious absence from royal duties and all the swirling rumours, suddenly she's back in front of the cameras. The media, of course, is spinning this as some grand return, but let's not forget that the same press has harassed Meghan for taking time for her own well-being. Where was this understanding when Meghan was being torn apart for stepping back? And speaking of hypocrisy, let's talk about King Charles' recent appearance in Poland. The press is out here acting like he's some noble figure for addressing turmoil and strife in the world. Meanwhile, he couldn't even protect his own son and daughter-in-law from the vile attacks of the British tabloids. Where was this wisdom when Meghan was being vilified for simply existing? Where was this compassion when Harry expressed genuine concerns for his family's safety? Oh, right, Charles was too busy worrying about his public image to defend his own child. And let's not forget the ridiculous narrative surrounding Kate's boundaries as she returns to work. Suddenly, everyone is praising her for taking it slow and prioritizing her health. But rewind a few years and Meghan was crucified for setting her own boundaries. It's laughable. The message is clear. When Kate does it, it's self-care. When Meghan does it, it's diva behavior. The bias is disgusting. Meanwhile, Harry is being dragged for wanting security before bringing his family back to the UK. And honestly, can you blame him? After everything he and Meghan have been through, the relentless smear campaigns, the security risks, the blatant hostility, it's common sense. The UK press has the audacity to act like he's being unreasonable, but let's be real. The royal institution has done nothing to ensure their safety. They'd rather keep Harry and Meghan as scapegoats while protecting those who actually bring shame to the monarchy. Listen, the double standards are exhausting, but that's why we're here, to expose the truth. Harry and Meghan have been nothing but graceful in the face of non-stop attacks, and yet the media still tries to tear them down while uplifting the same system that failed them. But we see through the nonsense and we won't be silent about it. So if you're here for the truth, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe and support the channel through super thanks. Let's keep calling out the hypocrisy and standing with Harry and Meghan. Until next time, squad, stay loud, stay proud and keep spreading the truth.